Several authentic yoga methods. Mantra yoga. Mantra yoga is known as the yoga of potent sound. Mantra yoga aims at liberation through the verbal or mental repetition of empowered sounds, such as Om, Hum, and Ram. Vinyoga yoga is another name of mantra yoga and links to traditional Vedic mantras and breathe with movement and sound in flowing exercises that are modified to each individual. Vinyoga is a good form of yoga for those with back problems or neck injuries because it can be easily adapted by everyone. The word mantra is believed to come from the Sanskrit words man, which means mind, and tara, which means instrument. Some religions have the belief that while chanting a mantra, a man or woman can possibly become an instrument that a higher power may channel. They believe that a mantra is a type of tool that allows thought to reach a higher power or a higher level of enlightenment. A mantra is a phrase or word that is chanted or spoken repeatedly to produce a sound believed to help with meditation or prayer. Ideally, the phrase or words should produce a pleasant, soothing sound. In some instances, the chanting of a mantra will produce a humming noise, not really sounding like words at all. Mantras are intended to help empty the mind so a communication with a higher power will be possible. Mantras are believed to have originated in ancient India, but are also sometimes used in Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism and Sikhism. Hatha yoga. Hatha yoga is focused solely on body alignment and executing precise movements. Yoga accessories such as blocks and straps are normally used by beginners who are not as flexible as the experts. Yoga accessories help assist all sorts of people to be able to do the poses comfortably. Because of its attention to details and the flexible modification of poses, Hatha yoga is often considered a good form of exercise for people with neck or back pain, as they are likely to benefit from the random movement in the poses. Practicing Hatha yoga will give you a good knowledge on the classics in yoga poses so that whatever other style you eventually practice, you will have the basic fundamentals on how to do each position. In Hatha yoga, the teacher focuses more on alignment and inner awareness. This awareness starts with the body and expands to other parts of the self as one continues to practice regularly. Hatha yoga, in Sanskrit, an ancient classical Deva language of India, Ha means sun and Tha means moon. This type of yoga is relatively slow-paced, gentle type of yoga and is a good place to start if you are completely new to yoga and don't know any of the asana poses. Like all types of yoga, Hatha yoga aims to unite the mind, body and spirit. Normal Hatha yoga consider yama, niyama, asana, pranayama and pratyahara of Ashtanga Yoga exercises of aid group. If enhanced well-being is your goal, you should consider the practice of Hatha yoga. In addition to meditation, which is a common technique in all yoga branches, Hatha yoga teaches a series of postures, known in yoga terminology as asana, and breathing exercises called pranayamas. Hatha yoga is considered to be one of the primary antecedents of modern physical therapy. Layer yoga. Layer yoga is an ancient form of meditation, with concentration on energy centers or chakras. Sage Gorakshnatha, an ancient sage of Nepal and a disciple of Matsyendranath, is the modern founder of Layer Yoga Tantrika. There are 5 main energy centers in the spine and 2 in the head. Layer yoga attempts to locate these energy centers and channelize them through meditation. Layer essentially means to dissolve all karmic patterns or conditioning and merge into the transcendental reality. It also means deep concentration and making an effort to obliterate the ego, thereby rising to a higher state of consciousness called turiya. Laya Yoga involves techniques of meditation that cause the energy or prana to move in certain ways, to awaken the kundalini, the coiled up energy at the base of the spine. Laya Yoga channelizes the energy forces in the kundalini instead of merely controlling the mind. It is important that the kundalini is activated through performance of asana, practice of pranayama and making a conscious effort to guide this awakened energy in the spine and allowing it to immerse in the crown chakra, chakram. Laya Yoga is also called Kundalini Yoga, because the raising of Kundalini energy to unite her with the Supreme Consciousness is the main objective, which is reached through deep meditation, dhyan. Includes the practice of postures, asana, and breath control, pranayama, to energize the subtle channels, nadis, removing obstacles to samadhi or non-duality. Through the repetition of a mantra or seed sound, a higher state of deep concentration, dharana, can be reached at which the divine form inherent in the mantra becomes manifest. Part of Laya Yoga that deals with the sounds of the inner world is Nada Yoga. Aro Yoga called Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga aims for liberation through meditation. Raja Yoga is meant for those people who are capable of intense concentration. A branch of yoga which places an even greater emphasis on meditation and knowledge is Raja Yoga. Known also under the name of classical yoga, Raja is a more advanced discipline. Practitioners usually start with hatha yoga in order to prepare the body for this advanced training. Studies have shown that people attracted by this form of yoga are generally more introspective and more drawn to profound meditation. Various religious groups devote themselves to this yoga path, which is similar to a monastic or contemplative lifestyle. In Raja Yoga, the main goal is a calm and spiritual, meditative state. There are 8 principles that are followed strictly and in order in Raja Yoga and, though important, physical movement or poses is not the focus. The 8 principles or stages are led Ashtanga or Dharma Vila. 1. Ethical standards or yama, abstaining from violence, stealing, lust, greed. 2. Self-discipline or niyama, developing devotion, purity, studiousness, contentment, discipline. 3. Posture or asana, 84 classical postures and mudras. 4. Breath control or pranayama, controlling the breath. 5. Sensory withdrawal or pratyahara, yogic spiritual psychology and psychotherapy, going inward and withdrawing attention from the outside world. 6. Concentration, focus or dharana. 7. Meditation, lights or dhyan. 8. Liberation, the highest light ecstasis or samadhi, merging with the universal consciousness. Ashtanga Yoga is not separate yoga tradition but it is name of 8 limbs of Hatha and Raja Yoga, commonly called Power Yoga, because it is focused on a powerful flowing movement. The movements include push-ups and lunges, which deals with strength and stamina. Ashtanga Yoga is best for people who have a strong back or have successfully overcome back injuries and are looking for more challenging practice. Athletic people such as runners, cyclists and gymnasts who wish to add more balance and concentration to their routines are also fans of Ashtanga Yoga in the West. Ashtanga Yoga. This is the type of yoga that people practice on a regular basis and means 8 limbs in Sanskrit. It's a fast-moving, intense style of yoga practice and is based on a progressive set sequence of asana, vinyasas, synchronized with the breath. Ashtanga Yoga can be quite physically demanding as you constantly move from one asana in the sequence to the next, so you'll find that it will improve your stamina as well as your flexibility and strength. Vinyasa is not another kind of Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga, but it means breath synchronized movement and is another fast-paced type of Hatha Yoga, with an emphasis on breathing like in Kalaripayat or Qigong, Qigong. A practice typically starts with sun salutations and moves on to more intense stretching. Throughout the practice, each pose is balanced with a counter pose. 3 main steep or wheels in traditional Raja Yoga are Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga. Another popular branch is Karma Yoga, which operates under the principle that everything that happens to us in our life is a direct consequence of our past actions. As a result, Karma Yoga encourages practitioners to eliminate negativity and selfishness from their current lives, to avoid having to deal with future consequences. Karma Yoga is practiced throughout one's day, including at work. Activities undertaken with the goal of helping other people, such as volunteering at a soup kitchen, are associated with the Karma Yoga path. The focus of Karma Yoga is on service and treatment of others. The basic idea is that our experiences today are a direct result of our past actions. Therefore, everything that those who practice Karma Yoga do today is in an effort to create a better future for themselves and those around them. They do this by eliminating the motivations of pessimism and egotism. This means living for others instead of ourselves. The most important part of real Karma Yoga is service for true Sri Guru, Yoga Master. Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti, love, or commonly known as devotional yoga. Bhakti Yoga focus on self-surrender in the face of the divine, if you know what that means. Bhakti Yoga promotes the ideal of devotion. The principal message of this yoga path is the presence of something divine in every form of creation. Hence, it is important to tolerate, accept and respect any form of life with which we come into contact. Bhakti Yoga is derived from Shivism and Shaktism. Bhakti means devotion to the Almighty, mostly in form of Krishna, Rama, Shiva or Devi. Bhakti Yoga deals with devotion to God and achieving the union with Him. This is the easiest of all yoga types. This branch of yoga teaches the relation between the devotee and the divine. It does not involve any technical or complicated procedures. There is no need of any intellectual capacity to master this yoga. It has appeal to the common man because it gives him a feeling security and develops a kind of reliance and dependence on the object of his devotion. Bhakti Yoga assumes that there is a higher power that has created the universe and is all-powerful. This power has the capacity to confer grace and mercy on him and thus protecting him from all the harms and evils. The devotee or bhakta is expected to make himself fit for receiving this divine grace. For this, he has to practice devotion and virtue. His ultimate goal should be to unite with this divine power and rest eternally in happiness and peace. The devotee surrenders all his motives and acts to the divine power. He renounces all responsibilities towards the good or bad consequences of all his actions and ascribes it to the will of the Supreme. Devotion and faith play a vital role in this branch of yoga. The devotee or bhakta is supposed to be highly religious, should adopt a friendly stance towards all the other living beings including animals, read religious texts, concentrate on the symbol of the divine, think and wish well for others etc. The beauty of this yoga lies in its simplicity. This has made it one of the most appealing of all the yoga types. Following this yoga develops the peace of mind in an individual. A peaceful individual will always think happy and prosperous thoughts and will thus lead a happy life. Jnana Yoga. Those who practice Jnana Yoga are most concerned with the development of the mind. They are scholars interested in the philosophy behind yoga and their yoga practice focuses on studying and understanding ancient and traditional texts. This is thought to be one of the most intense yoga disciplines as the learning is intense and difficult. This branch of yoga is directed mainly to scholars and wisdom people like ancient rishis. It involves development of the intellect, buddhi, through the study of yoga tradition, scripts and texts. It is also known to be the yoga of the heart and wisdom. Although it is described as the most difficult of all yoga practices, jnana yoga is also considered of the most direct and rewarding paths. Jnana means the knowledge, true knowledge. This part of yoga is the yoga for the intelligent and selected wisdom people. This yoga is the ultimate goal of all the other varieties of yoga, means karma, bhakti, mantra and hatha. This yoga teaches you to look at the world as it is without any ignorance and bias. You can achieve this state by practicing rigorous mental discipline and virtue. This yoga with jnana is also called Raja Yoga or the king of all the yogas, since it is of the highest variety and rules over all the other varieties. This is the yoga that Patanjali has described in his Yoga Sutras. This yoga is made up of 8 parts, of which 5 are external and the other 3 are internal. 2 of its parts, Visyama and Niyama, deal with types of behavior that the student of yoga should avoid, like lying, cheating, stealing etc. And those behaviors that he should cultivate, like cleanliness, non-collection etc. Asana and pranayama are the next 2 parts of this yoga. Asana are the physical movements that help in developing the suppleness of the body and thus cure any diseases. You can control your breath by using pranayama, which increases the capacity of the lungs to take in air and thus increases the vitality of the body. The next part, pratyahara, denotes the withdrawal of the sense organs from objects of enjoyment. The remaining 3 parts deal with intense mental concentration. Patanjali maintained that practicing these 8 parts of yoga faithfully and intensely will, over a period of time, erase all the impurities of the body and mind and thus attain knowledge that will liberate the person from bondage and ignorance. This yoga is called Ashtanga Yoga since it is made of 8 parts. It is also called as Dhyan Yoga due to its stress on mental concentration. Hence, whenever there is any mention of yoga, it is usually implied that the person is talking about jnana yoga. Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga, as taught by Lahiri Mahase, is traditionally learned via the guru-disciple relationship and is simplified Raja Yoga method or true level of Raja Yoga above karma, bhakti and jnana steps. He recounted that after his initiation into Kriya Yoga, Babaji instructed me in the ancient rigid rules which govern the transmission of the yogic art from guru to disciple. Kriya Yoga finds mention in the ancient spiritual texts of Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Tapaswadhyayeshwara Pranidhani Kriya Yoga, 2nd Pada. Sloka 1. It was later revived by Yogiraj Sri Shyamacharan Lahiri in the 19th century. Subsequently, Paramahansa Yogananda, in his autobiography of a Yogi, 1946, reported the same for his style of yoga. The system consists of a number of levels of pranayama based on techniques that are intended to rapidly accelerate spiritual development. Yogananda attributes Kriya Yoga to his lineage of gurus, deriving it via Yukteswar Giri and Lahiri Mahase from Mahavatar Babaji. The latter is reported to have introduced the concept as essentially identical to the Raja Yoga of Patanjali, and the concept of yoga is described in the Bhagavad Gita.